Hello, hello. Thank you for being patient with me. Sorry about that. Harley was really being demanding. She still is today. She's very upset with me going back to work, I guess. Okay, couple of comments. Mr. John, for letting this go on, Doro should be reprimanded. This is terrible. You are really you are really like bring the hammer down impatient. And I tend to like be on your side, but I wonder if okay. I wonder if her benevolence doesn't have an ulterior motive, which is he can't appeal it for being unfair if she gives him opportunities to do this correctly. I would love to educate you, but he has no idea where he is going except prison. Yeah, you're mad for them. I appreciate your position. Mindless and irrelevant questions always, always, always. Please shut him up. And Miss Ruby says, yes, you guys are together on this. Oh my god, yeah, with shut up at the grounds. You sound so dumb. I'm sorry, I have a snack over here. My eating, my sleeping, everything is all off now. So I'm just gonna try to sneak some bites in. Oh my goodness. All right, so those are bunches of comments. I think I got. Oh, there's no volume. Sorry, double stuff. In between the lines. Okay. They did not need his calculations. The other speed analyst would be sufficient. Yeah, I know some of these things, like what are the the original ones, the ones before they got the upper level and more training or whatever on this new product that they weren't using before. But his whole premise that this guy couldn't do it correctly because it was the first time he did it in a live trial. Those dry runs are on actual cases in which they have the answer. So if you come up with the answer and the answer matches, like that just validates it. It's how that stuff works. In between the lines said that the guy who did the speed analysis seemed a little bit rattled. What do you guys think? Maybe. You know, he was having his whole like education and experience criticized by a numbskull. Darrell Brooks is just making himself look bad for the jury as usual. Thank you, John. Yes, he is. There is no point to any of his questions, and there never is. There never is. Well, he will never understand hearsay. We could just stop with your comment right there. He just won't. He won't. She shouldn't explain this to him, but she has to. Just to try anyway. Mama Dawn raised one. You know, I agree with you. Mama Dawn raised one hell of a human being or a subhuman or whatever. What did she do to him? She is just as narcissistic as he is. Miss Ruby making fun of him when he writes stuff down because it's not going to help him. Takes forever and accomplishes nothing. I call my SUV a car. Thank you. It's like calling it a Coke, or it's a cola, but it's. Uh, these comments, they get me every time. They get me every time, guys. Okay, let's move on where I so rudely left off.
Nothing further. Oh, sorry. Nope. We'd ask that a screenshot be taken of State's Exhibit 51. I believe that would be 51.
Stupid.
A. And we'd ask that it be admitted into
Objection.
evidence.
Why?
Overruled.
My objection was to clarification on whether she was done or not.
I believe it
That's
is
not an objection.
51A. It is also captured, and to move that one in to evidence.
That's not an objection, Darrell.
So you did
Stupid.
51A.
I did.
All right, and 51A is also
Stupid.
received.
Okay, we have no other questions for this witness. Thank you.
All right, any questions, sir?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
You stated a few minutes ago that at one point before the vehicle
Ran over
came
your
through
children.
you were having a conversation to the effect of things were going slow, they're not going to get hit.
I never said I was having a conversation.
Well, let me back up.
You big idiot.
Who were you talking to when you said everything's going slow, pretty slow, they're not going to get hit?
Another mom.
So would it be fair to say that's a conversation?
No.
Yes.
And
She's not
why
happy.
did you make
She's
reference
angry.
to getting hit at that point?
Because I didn't expect my kid to get hit at a parade.
What is the point of that line of questioning? You narcissistic, misogynistic idiot. Oh, since you said they might get hit, it's okay that I ran them over, right?
So you had already made the determination that they were going to get hit at a
Oh
parade
my
at that
God, they're
Objection.
grounds.
Argumentative, sustained. You do not have to answer that question.
Why would getting hit be in your head at that point?
because they're in the street.
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. She may answer the question.
I wasn't concerned about my children being hit at a parade because typically at a parade floats are going very slow.
It still doesn't quite answer the question because the statement was things are going pretty slow, they won't get hit. What prompted the statement they won't get hit at that point?
Another mom was concerned about how much into the street the kids were waiting for candy.
So it'd be fair to say that the initial concern was from another parent
Correct.
and not yourself.
I wasn't worried about my kids getting hit at a parade as I shouldn't have been.
You stated also that you dropped your other kids off before seeking medical attention. Would that be fair to say?
I said that.
Any reason why you didn't seek medical attention immediately?
I did seek medical attention immediately.
You also just stated that you dropped your other kids off. And
My
then,
house is on the way to the hospital, so I dropped 2 of my children off so they wouldn't have to sit at the hospital.
So your attention at that point was to seek medical attention.
I sought medical attention.
Was
Yes.
that your intent?
That's what I did.
Was it your intent?
Objection, arguments to
Grounds.
Sustained. Asked and answered.
Do you recall about what time you arrived at the parade?
No,
You recall what time you left the parade?
no,
Were you at the parade with anyone other than your children at that time?
no.
Before you were able to see the vehicle that struck your son, or was it your son?
Yes,
Before you saw the vehicle, did you observe anyone else struck before that moment?
no,
After that moment?
no.
Let's put the license in place.
About how long did it take you to gather your children up before?
Not very long.
Does anybody see any point in these questions? Or is he getting to a point? She's angry.
Do you recall how long you were treated at the hospital?
I don't know. We were there for a while waiting. The waiting room was full of people that were hurt.
Were you ever told at any point during your waiting process that you probably could have went to another medical facility?
Oh my God.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Just go somewhere else. No. Okay, hold on a sec. Hold up. First of all, hospitals aren't allowed to say that. Now, they can triage you and do a preliminary exam and decide that their resources are taxed and transport you to another facility. That might be possible, but they're not going to come out to the waiting room and say, you know what? It's not like Dr. House where he comes out and says, anybody I can give $50 to and leave. No, that's a dumb question. That was an insulting question.
You recall giving a statement to law enforcement?
Yes.
Do you recall if it was the same night of the incident?
I gave a report the night of the incident at the hospital.
And did you follow up on that report at any time?
No, I didn't.
What do you mean follow up?
Any reason why?
No.
Why would I follow up?
Well, it would be fair to say, would it not, that after making a report to law enforcement, you would want to follow up maybe to see what's going to be done about the report? Would that be?
No, Darrell, with your liar lines. That would not be fair to say. When you make a report, especially in an incident where probably hundreds of people are going to be making reports, you're going to depend on the people you're making the report to do their own job. But you wouldn't know this because you've never had a job. You claim you've had a job, you haven't had a job.
Be fair to say?
No.
I knew that the police were going to do their jobs, so I didn't have a reason to follow up. They contacted me when they needed to contact me.
So it'd be fair to say you just gave the report and then just left the rest up to law enforcement?
Yes.
Sure.
And I'm assuming that law enforcement at some point got back in touch with you. Would that be fair to say?
Correct.
Do you recall about when that was?
Either the next day or the day after.
Do you recall if it was a detective or a regular officer?
I believe it was a detective.
Do you recall the name of the detective?
No.
Were you at any time given a card by the detective to be able to keep in contact?
I don't recall.
Do you recall if your interview was written down as a summary or if it was recorded?
I think he did both.
Did you file any claims related to this matter?
No.
Ever read or saw a complaint in this matter?
No.
Grounds.
Sustained. You may rephrase if you want, but it's sustained as to the form of the question.
Whom are you contacted by in regards to possibly testifying in this matter?
I don't know. Probably the DA's office. I don't know.
Were you subpoenaed?
I was subpoenaed to be here.
Do you recall who that subpoena was from?
I don't know.
So it would be fair to say that you received a subpoena and never read who it was from. Would that be fair to say?
From the state of Wisconsin.
When you say the state of Wisconsin, who are you referring to?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain.
Not relevant.
Will you consider yourself an injured party in this matter?
I was not physically injured myself.
Have you filed a claim in this matter in any way?
That's the answer.
Sustained.
Would you consider yourself to be the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain.
Not relevant. Also under 90611.
Are you aware of any plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained on relevance grounds.
Ever had a conversation with the plaintiff at any time in this matter?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained is to the form of the question.
Why did
you
she
may
say
rephrase it
that?
if you would like.
She always says to the form of the question, and that's where she loses me with supporting this, because first of all, I don't understand it. And secondly, it's kind of like a way to smooth over that there was an objection. The objection is to relevance. It's not relevant. You can't pretend it's relevant. How would you phrase the irrelevant question to make it more relevant? If somebody has one of those, let me know.
More specificity.
Have you ever had any phone conversations or personal interactions with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, vague.
Grounds.
Sustained is to the form of a question. You may rephrase it if you so choose with more specificity so that it's not vague.
Are you aware of the identity of the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Not relevant.
Grounds.
It's not relevant. Sustained.
Are you aware if there is a plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained
Grounds for the sustain.
on relevance grounds. Also under 90611.
With all respect, Your Honor, the jury deserves to know this information. or withholding important information from the jury. They deserve to know this.
The jury will disregard the statement made by Mr. Brooks as not being an accurate statement of the law. Next question.
So to the best of your knowledge, you're not aware of any plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds?
Sustained. Mr. Brooks, please move on to another topic under 906.11. You are hereby advised that if you do not move on to a new topic, I will close the cross-examination.
With all due respect, Your Honor, this is important information the jury deserves to know.
Mr. Brooks, ask a relevant question, please.
That holds a lot of relevance, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks, one last opportunity to ask a question. Otherwise, the court will declare the cross-examination closed under 906.11.
No further questions.
Can you redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Statement called. Next witness.
Daniel Knapp.
All right, Mr. Knapp, if you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right, up one riser. When you get there, please remain standing, raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, who's to my left, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask that you do is to state your first and last names for the record, and then spell each.
Daniel Knapp, D-A-N-I-E-L, Knapp, K-N-A-P-P.
Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Morning, sir.
Morning.
I can direct your attention to November 21st of 2021. Were you at the WAUKESHA Christmas parade on that date?
I was.
Who were you with?
I was with my family, my wife, and 3 children, as well as 3 other families. There's a group of 19 of us.
And by chance, were you with, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Yes, thank you. Ben Harris?
Yes.
And did Matt have his...
Hold on, overruled the question and answer will stand.
Sir, how old are your kids?
My kids at the time of the parade were 11, 7, and 3.
Where were you seated for the parade?
My family was in front of the Steaming Cup, so that would be on the northeast corner of Main and Clinton Street.
And I said seated, but I guess were you standing or...
Okay, this is way too painful for me. I'm gonna try the broken ones again. Sorry, guys.
Where were you on that corner?
Yeah, so I was behind my the group of we had 12 children that were lined up across the street or on the side of the street, waiting to receive candy. I was behind the children, so closer to the Steaming Cup.
Was that the same general location as the other parents?
That is correct. Yes, my wife Stephanie was with my daughter Kelsey going in and out of the Steaming Cup, given it was a little chilly that day, and my daughter was a little cold, so she would go in and out of the Steaming Cup. So she was a little further to the west than I was, but we were all in the general direction.
Okay. And how old is Kelsey?
Kelsey at the time of the incident was 3. Today she's 4.
Okay. Now, at some point, did you hear anything unusual during the parade?
Yeah, so in watching the parade, you know, a lot of circumstance pomp, bands and noises, but then all of a sudden the noises changed to what I would describe as sounds of screaming, and at the time when that occurred, the direction kind of turned from facing the parade down to the east, looking down Main Street.
So as you're facing the parade, would east be to your left? Or to your
That
right?
is correct, to my left.
Shoot to your left. And when you said screaming, you said this is a parade. I'm assuming that there are kids and adults screaming and yelling. What was different about the screaming that you heard?
In my recollection, there is a difference between laughing and having a joyful time compared to screaming out of fear, terror. It was just a noticeable difference.
And the screaming that you heard out of fear or terror, that was the screaming that you heard when you looked left?
That is correct.
What did you see?
So what I saw when I looked left was there was a SUV pulling a float that was down to our left side that had not got to the position that we were at, and all of a sudden a car, red SUV, pulled around that float and headed directly in our direction.
You said a red SUV. Did you notice anything unusual about it as the car came at you?
Other than obviously a car coming at us during a parade was something that was very unexpected. And as it got closer, as I mentioned, it was coming at maybe a northwest direction as it past the SUV coming directly at our location. And in terms of anything else at that point, no.
I'm going to show and ask the court to publish Exhibit 51. It will show up in front of your screen.
Go ahead.
First of all, sir, is this, does this area look familiar to you?
It does.
And where's the steaming cup?
The steaming cup would be the building I'm circling right now.
Yep. Okay. And where were you seated or standing, approximately?
Yeah, so I was standing somewhere right about here.
Okay. And where were your kids?
So we had, like I mentioned before, a group of 12 that were lined up. Kelsey would have been the furthest to the west, and I would approximate that the 12th child furthest to the east would have been somewhere in this direction, or location, excuse me.
And do you know approximately that would have been the location she would have been on the curb, meaning Kelsey, or would she have been off the curb, if you recall?
It's my recollection that she would have been off the curb. There was a lot of excitement with the children, and there was a police officer that would often push the children back to ensure that they were staying out of the direction of the parade, and so it's my recollection that they would have been on the street at that time.
Okay. And still using Exhibit 51, when you state that this red SUV was coming at your group, can you, and I don't know if you can you show the direction of travel using this exhibit?
Overruled. You may answer.
I would, the direction I would have, based on my recollection, was coming here, and again, right at our location, so coming here and then would have come back this direction into the middle of the street.
Okay. So let's kind of go through that. When you first saw the car, was it on, can you show by an arrow using Exhibit 51, can you show by arrow the, and I think you actually have, the direction that the parade was going? You did with the arrow that you previously pointed, is that
Yeah,
true?
the direction of the parade was coming in this direction here.
And where specifically was the car coming from? Was it coming from, as you're looking at the car, was it coming from the left side of the road or the right side of the road?
Overruled.
The car was coming from the south side of Main Street. It had.
You're on the north side?
I'm on the north side
Okay.
by Steaming Cup, so it had passed the SUV on the south side and then came into our purview at that point, coming on a northwest direction towards us.
So the red SUV passed another SUV?
That's correct. It had passed an SUV that had yet to come to our location. So I'm not exactly sure what unit that was in the parade. But as it passed that SUV, it came into my purview, and that's when I got sight of the vehicle.
So the SUV that the red SUV passed, the red SUV would have passed the other SUV on the driver's side.
That is correct.
Okay. If I could have a screen capture of this, I believe it would be 51B.
He's a good witness.
It is captured. We'll save it as 51B.
I'd also ask,
I think Darrell's going to have a hard time shaking this guy. He's a solid witness, giving very simple but very fleshed out answers.
Hold on.
You're going to have a hard time with him, Darrell.
I'm sorry, was there an objection?
Yes,
On the basis for the objection?
relevancy.
It is relevant. 51B has been captured, and I believe you had a statement about it.
yes, I'd ask that be moved into evidence.
It is received. 51B.
Objection be noted for the record, Your Honor.
No.
It already has been.
Yeah.
Yes, it will be noted.
Sir, continuing to look at 51, you had stated that the direction of travel then was towards the middle of Main Street. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Could you see what it was going towards?
So at the time of when that vehicle was coming towards our group, myself in particular, I saw the driver of that SUV coming right towards me, and then start making a little bit of that, I guess, turning instead of the northwest direction, turning more to the west. And at that time, my concern after looking at this vehicle was realizing that he was heading directly for our children. And as the vehicle passed myself and getting to the end of our group, which again, Kelsey was furthest on the west, and right next to Kelsey would have been a family friend, Brinley Harris. And I saw the vehicle strike my daughter. My daughter flew approximately 15 feet towards the middle of the intersection of Clinton and Main. So at that point, a fatherly instinct kicked in, and my sole focus was at my daughter at that point. So I did not have any contact, visual contact with the vehicle after that point.
So you said Kelsey.
Okay, let's absorb that for a minute. So basically, he is focused on getting some detail as the SUV approaches and starts striking. He strikes some of the children in, I hate to say a minor way, but in a way that didn't throw them as far. And then his child gets struck and is thrown 15 feet. To put it in perspective, I mean, a lot of people have this perspective that I didn't for a long time. 3 sidewalk blocks is 15 feet. 5 feet per block is generally what it is. So if you think about each sidewalk, maybe you're taking a walk. I usually take 2 to 3 steps per sidewalk block. So 3 of those. So think about how far a small child being thrown by a 3,000-pound vehicle would be. That is significant, and that is definitely going to change the focus of where he is looking and what he's paying attention to. But let's watch Darrell try to make him look like the bad guy.
Flew approximately 15
That's what makes me mad.
feet into Clinton Street.
In estimation,
Your objection is noted.
Already answered.
What was the objection?
That was already answered.
That's not my recollection, so it's overruled. I believe she was seeking clarification or additional details.
Could that be clarified in the question?
No, go ahead and ask your question.
See, these are not objections, these are interruptions. Okay, these are interruptions. He's just trying to throw this guy off because he sees that this guy's got a solid way of answering and recalling. This witness's recall is spot on, and the way he is describing it is very good. So Darrell's just trying to throw him off.
Attorney Basie. Your objections noted. Silver rule.
Is that a judicial determination, Your Honor?
Go ahead, Attorney Basie.
So what did you do upon seeing that?
So after seeing my daughter get hit as the vehicle was turning again into the parade route, noticing my daughter was hit by the front right side of the vehicle, and watching my daughter and where she ended up was my sole focus. I ran over to her to check on the condition she was in.
So you actually saw the red SUV's front right bumper strike your daughter?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's what caused her to be propelled into approximately 15 feet away?
That's correct.
What did you notice once you got to your daughter?
I noticed my daughter had a significant amount of blood on her face. She was conscious, but I would consider it a look of, now mind you, she's 3 years old.
My God.
A look of just complete fear and misunderstanding, just not understanding what just occurred.
What did you do?
So I picked up my daughter, and not knowing exactly the situation that we were currently involved in, not knowing if there was another vehicle, just not really understanding the situation, I picked her up and I ran north on Clinton Street for about 10 yards. I stopped at that moment. I turned back towards Main Street to make eye contact with my wife and the rest of the group to ensure that the rest of the group was safe, and just to get a bearing of where we were after making eye contact with my wife and asking the question, is everyone else safe? I proceeded to run with Kelsey in my arms. We were parked at WAUKESHA State Bank, which I grew up in WAUKESHA, so thankfully I'm very familiar with the surroundings in this general area, and I knew how close I was to the hospital. I ran with Kelsey. My brother-in-law caught up with me and came with me as we drove up to Waukesha Memorial Hospital and brought Kelsey into the hospital.
Okay, so again, no judgment whatsoever. We do move people without backboards now. The whole everybody can't move a single solitary millimeter. If they got up after and started walking around, now she did not, but she's a little girl, so he scoops her up and he runs over to the car and transports her himself. I have absolutely no judgment on this. I commend him for, his swift and calm resolution to his problem. He looked back, he double checked with his wife. They obviously had some tight communication. Good for them. Great relationship. Love it. As a first responder, loving this.
What injuries did Kelsey receive as a result of being struck by the red SUV?
So Kelsey received a tear in her spleen. In this
Significant.
location.
That's significant.
And for the record, I just want to show that you pointed to the left side.
Correct.
Okay, that's a significant injury. Your spleen is fairly protected by your body. Now, a 3-year-old, not as much because they don't have as much protection. Can you live without a spleen? Yes, but it is part of your immune system where a lot of red blood cells are. So if the spleen is damaged, there's going to be a lot of internal bleeding. So this girl's in trouble. So he did the right thing. Good for him.
Back left side of Kelsey.
Okay.
She received a broken nose, significant road rash and cuts to her facial area, which one of them required some facial surgery.
So they say a lot of these kids got road rash that would require skin grafts or closing or plastics. That should tell you that, you know, kind of like burns, there's degrees of this and how deep this goes into the skin and into the dermis. So, and your skin is your first protection from infection. Okay, it's part of that system. It is your first defense. So she's already got internal bleeding. Now she's got a compromise to her skin, plus the facial injuries. That's devastating.
Prior to the vehicle striking Kelsey,
Good.
when you first saw the vehicle, did you hear it honking its horn?
I did not.
You stated that the vehicle was coming right at you. Were you able to see inside the vehicle?
I was.
How many people were inside that vehicle?
I could only see one person in the vehicle.
Presumably the driver?
Yes, it was on the driver's side, front driver's side.
Good question. I like how that kind of implies that Dum Dum isn't sitting on the passenger side just passively. Only one person in. He was driving, right?
Could you tell male or female?
Yes, it was a black male, and at the time, the eyes is what drew me in. Were completely wide open, and made eye contact with the individual driving the vehicle.
So you looked eye to eye with the person who hit your daughter.
I did.
Did you see him in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you point him out by where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He is
And
seated
I
in.
ask that Mr. Brooks take off his face mask.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
He is seated at the table, located over here. He's got a gray suit on, a blue shirt, and a tie.
Let the record reflect that witness has identified the defendant, Darrell Brooks.
Objection, I do not consent to
Oh,
being
my
called that
God.
name, nor do I
Shut
know
up!
any individual by that name, Your Honor.
The record will reflect that the witness has identified the defendant as the driver of the SUV.
You're not even
that struck his
doing
daughter.
that right.
May my objection be noted for the record as well, Your Honor.
For the record, it's Bill. You're
It's
out of
noted.
Stupid.
From your observations, you didn't see anyone else in the car, correct?
I did not.
Did the defendant, was he flailing his arms? Do you recall where his hands were?
I do not recall any hand movement. My main recollection is the face, specifically the eyes.
I want to point out that at the beginning we had the young lady who described the flailing at the beginning of the whole process, where he's flailing his hand like this, and she describes it and performs it like that. Now he keeps referring to the eyes. Darrell has this dead eye look where he's focused but not focused, kind of like it's almost creepy. Not almost creepy, it's completely creepy what he does with his face. And he actually, it's a face he makes when he's trying to intimidate as well. He has just glossed over and has zero regard for anything going on around him, and he's just doing what he's doing. He is no longer trying to get people or trying to trying to say how important he is. He is simply ramming his vehicle into people. Obviously a little tiny 3-year-old who flies 15 feet. We're lucky she doesn't have like a brain injury and multiple broken bones and all kinds of things. But the way he keeps describing that, I think it just gets worse and worse.
Do you appear to be in control of the car?
Yes.
That should
The
have been
vehicle
a
stopped after
speculative.
hitting your daughter.
The vehicle did not stop after hitting my daughter, although, as I stated before, I do not have recollection of exactly where the vehicle went, other than getting back towards the center of Main Street.
As the car was coming towards your location, could you estimate the speed?
I have no way of estimating the exact speed, but I would say way too fast for the situation.
I like that answer.
So you indicate that you were
can't
friends
really fight
with
with
Matt Harris and his family?
Objection. Relevant.
You can't really fight with too fast for the situation. And people will say, well, it was snowing, but I was going the regular speed that I always go. Well, maybe you shouldn't have been.
Evidency
Overruled.
to this particular witness.
Overruled. It goes to context and
Grounds.
background.
Grounds for that.
Context and background. It's also relevant. Go ahead, you may answer.
That's correct. We are.
And you say that Brindley was standing near Kelsey when Kelsey got hit?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled.
Brindley was standing directly to Kelsey's left, to her east.
And did you see Brindley after November 21st?
Yes, I've seen Brindley after November 21st.
Shortly after November 21st of last year?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled.
Yes.
Did she have any type of medical dressing on her at that time?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled.
Grounds for that.
It's
Overruled.
relevant.
Yes, she had a full cast on.
Her leg?
Yes,
Or-
her leg.
Thank you.
It's not relevant. Oh. What a trash goblin.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Any cross, Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Stomping across Wisconsin.
You may claim that
Darrell Brooks, the trash goblin stomping across Wisconsin, ruining lives.
you locked eyes with the driver of the vehicle. Would that be fair to say?
That is correct.
And approximately how far was the vehicle from you when you supposedly locked eyes?
I would estimate it 20 feet.
Almost as
Would it
far
be fair
as
to say that
maybe further than he threw my daughter?
that's about as far as I am from you now? Or was the vehicle further than where I am now from you?
I would state that it was probably a little bit closer.
And what do you mean by a little bit closer?
I would say perhaps halfway, maybe three-quarters of the way between where you're seated right now and where I'm seated right now.
What would be 3/4 of the way? Can you like point about where?
Again, I estimated it about 20 feet, so
That's
Would
where
it
you
be fair to
estimate.
say that halfway between you and I would not be an accurate statement of 20 feet? Grounds.
Argumentative. Thank you.
Overruled. He may answer the question.
that's why I stated it was about 3/4 of the way.
So about what spot would it be by this?
Oh my
black,
God, Darrell, what's the point?
I guess I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a door. Excuse me. What is that?
It's an electrical box.
Would it be by this electrical box? Would it be this square directly next to the electrical box? I mean, what would you say would be 3/4 of the way?
So the electrical box would be a good estimation of the distance. However, it was a little further to my left than where the electrical box was because it was coming at us at more of
So
a,
it would be a little further this way, towards, coming back towards the table here.
Your Honor, I just ask that the defendant allow the witness to answer the question before he asks the next question.
And I agree.
Yeah.
The record should also reflect that as the witness was answering the question, he was motioning with his
Left arm.
left arm in a direction outstretched kind of from front of his body to the left of his body, probably at a 45-degree angle to demonstrate that his observation of the vehicle was in that direction. You may ask the question again then so the witness can answer from there.
So you would estimate that it was in relation to where the electrical box is, probably approximately around like this general area right here?
to my direction, probably a little bit to the left of there.
Just so the record is clear, Mr. Brooks is standing up at his table. He's pointing what would be pretty much directly in front of him, but to my left of the electrical box. We have large squares of carpet. It would be a square and a half to the left, my left, Mr. Brooks' right.
For the record, I'm a third party, Your Honor.
Third party, Your Honor.
I don't identify by that name or consent
All
to
right,
being called
all
that
right.
name. Your Honor.
Your lack of consent is noted. Next question, please.
Your Honor, just for the record, I don't think some of the jurors in the back can see the black electrical box.
Sure, why don't we have our
Just
jurors stand for a moment? So that we can be clear that they're seeing that. Thank you. All right. So the record should reflect that the jurors are all standing to take a look at where the electrical box is and
For
of
absolutely
course, the
no
squares
reason
of carpet
whatsoever.
next to that. All right, thank you. You may be seated. Next question, sir.
And you would say from that general distance, you were able to clearly lock eyes with a vehicle that was passing you at a speed that you say was too fast?
As I stated before, the vehicle was not necessarily passing me, it was coming straight
That was
at me.
compound, for sure.
And yes, I was able to lock eyes.
And do you recall if the vehicle had any tint?
Tint.
I do not recall if the vehicle had any tinted windows.
Because
I
he's
assume
coming
is that what
straight
you're
at
referring
you.
to?
Yes, tint, yes.
I do not recall if the vehicle had any tinted windows.
Were you able to, you clearly were able to make the color of the vehicle, would that be fair to say?
That is correct.
And were you able to make out the make and model of the vehicle?
I was not.
And were you able to see if there were any occupants in the vehicle other than the driver?
I only saw one occupant in the vehicle.
Did you get a license plates of the vehicle?
I did not get a license plate to the vehicle.
Do you recall what the driver was wearing?
I do not recall what the driver was wearing.
So it would be fair to say that all you looked at was the eyes then, and not the entire face.
I saw the face of the occupant, the driver of the vehicle. I did not see pants or make out any shirt or jacket or any other markings.
I didn't ask about pants, but
The witness answered your question. Next question, sir.
I would like to get to it, Your Honor.
First, you have to admonish him for answering it thoroughly.
Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone while it was coming towards you?
I did not.
After it had passed you?
Yes, I observed the vehicle striking my 3-year-old daughter, Kelsey.
After that point?
I did not.
You stated that when the vehicle was coming towards you, it turned away. It was turning away.
Yes, as the vehicle was coming directly towards our group, it did make a turn from a northwest direction to a westerly direction down Main Street.
Would it be fair to say that that direction that it turned was turning away from you?
Correct, it was turning towards the middle of the street.
But generally turning away from the area that you and your children
He
were
has
standing
to, at
at
least
that
semantic
point in time.
games. This,
Correct.
From your observation, why do you think the vehicle would have been turning away from you?
to hit other people.
Grounds,
Sustained.
grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
Grounds for the
Speculation.
substain. Grounds for the substain.
Were you injured in any way?
I was not physically injured.
And would it be fair to say that you would describe the scene as pretty chaotic at that point?
Absolutely.
And
Mr.
you,
Brooks, sorry to interrupt. How much longer do you have? The
I-
only reason I ask is there's some weather coming in and I've had some alerts and I want to make sure everyone gets to a safe location. There's a tornado warning, not for us just yet, but, so I'll let you finish, but I may be interrupting if another alert comes in. Are they going on? All right, we're gonna take our lunch early then, and, all rise for the jury. Sorry for the interruption, Mr. Brooks.
what?
You will.
Okay, so this is where they have their tornado issue. I am going to go ahead and take a quick break on that one. After that, I was told I talk too much. I've been trying not to, and only breaking in when I have some level of, I don't know, I wouldn't call it expertise, but insight with my background. So I hope everybody is having a great day. Sorry for all the extracurricular stuff I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help my son with his taxes. I'm trying to get my taxes done. How many people are starting their taxes? It's getting scarier and scarier. So good luck on that for you. And we will like, subscribe, and share. Comment, good or bad, to help me improve. Using these broken ones again because it's a little less harsh on my ears. That little fob thing in my ear is just a little too harsh. Let me know how my sound is because I'm still struggling with that. I have some, limited equipment here, but I love getting the comments from you. I love doing this, kind of a hobby for me. So we will stop right here for now, and then we'll pick up after their weather emergency.